Welcome to the Contrarians. Tonight's topic. The topic tonight, your last great, good, and bad album that you purchased. We got a great panel here. This is a great show. Let's do it. Welcome to the Contrarians, and we've got a topic that the Parish of Rock came up with. Topic for tonight: the last great album you bought, the last good album you bought, and the last bad album you bought. So we've got the usual suspects here tonight. We've got the Elder of Rock, the Parish of Rock, and we've got David here as well. I guess we could just do straight through your three, I guess. This might be a pretty quick show, unless we start talking about taxes again.
Yeah, unless we start talking about we could deduct those albums off our taxes somehow. Maybe if we can stretch it out.
All right, well, we'll do that. Parish, I'm going to let you go first because, hell, this was your topic.
Yeah, so this came about. I was down the pub after work with a couple of mates, and we were debating about whether there was any good music anymore, or whether it's the same similar age to me, and the other two guys were saying they don't reckon anything decent's been released since about 2000. And I said that's just not the case. I said there's been loads of great albums released.
Yeah.
Even this year there's been great albums released. And they said, what? Really great albums? And I said, well, maybe good albums, and very good albums, maybe not great with a capital G, but definitely very good albums. And they said, what? Very good albums that last the test of time. And I said, well, I don't know if they're going to last the test of time because they've only just come out. And they said, well, when would be the last great album with a capital G? So a truly great album, as opposed to saying it's great, but actually what you mean is it's good or quite good or very good. And it got me thinking, and I was surprised how hard it was actually to come up with the last truly great album I bought. And then I started thinking, okay, well, if I'm struggling with great, and what I did when I was looking at great, I looked at my top albums of last year, and the top 5 albums of last year, I decided I couldn't class any of those as great. And then I thought, what about the year before? And without giving away how far back I went, I struggled with the year before as well. So I suddenly realised for me anyway, how difficult it was to talk about the last great album. So I thought, okay, what was the last good album? And again, without giving it away, that was also very difficult, but for a different reason. And then I thought, what was the last bad album I bought? And that became really difficult because in today's age, you don't tend to buy bad albums because you listen to them on Spotify or whatever before you buy them. So you kind of know what you're getting before you buy it. So I'm not saying that there haven't been bad albums that have come out. And I'm not saying that some of my favourite artists haven't released disappointing albums in the last few years. But I haven't bought them because I've listened to them already and decided not to purchase them. So for different reasons, I found it actually even though it's my subject, I found it quite difficult to come up with the last great album, the last good album, and the last bad album that I bought. And the emphasis here is I bought, not that I've downloaded. And actually, there's been 1 or 2 albums that probably would have fitted the great category, but I haven't actually purchased them because I haven't been able to actually track them down to buy over here. So even though they could be in that category, I haven't bought them, so I had to discount them. And I've ignored buying, I bought old albums. So I haven't talked about albums I bought this year that maybe came out in the 70s, 80s or 90s or whatever. I've ignored all of that, even though they've been, in my view, great albums. I felt that was cheating if I picked any of those. So that's kind of the background to all of this. So I had to go back all the way to 2019 before I came to an album that I decided I would consider a great album with a capital G, an album that I would put in my top 20 albums of all time. And the album I've picked is Alter Bridge, Walk the Sky. And the reason I've picked that is Alter Bridge are probably my favourite band of the last 20 years. They're certainly in my top 20 bands of all time. And this is my favourite Alter Bridge album. And I think it's just got so many great songs. So Godspeed, Take the Crown, To the Bitter End, Walking on the Sky. In fact, every track, I just think it's a fantastic album. So 2019, this came out, October 2019, so pre-COVID. That's how far I had to go back before I found an album that I would hand on heart say I consider to be a great album. So that's my great album. The good album I found equally difficult because actually I think there's been loads of good albums in the last, certainly if I were to go back over the last 12 months, I think there's been loads of good albums. And the one I was nearly went with was an album that actually came out this month, which is the latest Darkness album. And just for your benefit, signed, Grant, look, signed copy. So I'm doing my Martin Popoff signed copy, which I got signed when I saw him at Birmingham. To be fair, they didn't actually sign it in front of me. It was for sale at the merch desk. But I've decided not to go with that because it's too new. And there's a lot of albums, I don't know what you guys are like, but there's a lot of albums I find that I think are really good. And then after a couple of months, I stopped listening to it. I kind of burn out on it quite quickly and don't listen to them anymore. And I felt that's too new to know whether it's going to stand the test of time. So I then looked at albums from last year, and I could have gone with Invincible Shield by Judas Priest. I could have gone with Ian Hunter's last album, could have gone with Saxon's last album, or I could have gone with New Roses. But actually, they were all further back, and as it's the last good album, parking up the Darkness one, is Mog's Motel. So Phil Mogg from UFO, kind of a solo, but not really solo because he's got a band there with Neil Carter, Tony Newton on bass, etc. So I don't know if Mog's Motel is the name of the band or the name of the album, but this I think stands up with any of the good UFO albums. Not the great UFO albums, but certainly stands up with the good UFO albums. But there was a lot I could have gone with, as I've just said, plus more. But this came out towards the end of last year, so it's the most recent good album. So Mog's Motel is my last good album. The last bad album. And when I say bad, what I really mean is I don't particularly like, or I don't like. I ignored albums that I quite like, but I think the production's poor, and you could class as a bad album in that sense. And again, for the reason I said earlier, I had to go back quite a long time. So there's quite a lot of albums I bought that actually I'm disappointed with. And in fact, the album by the artist I'm just going to talk about, their most recent one, I think is okay, but I'm kind of disappointed with it. But I wouldn't say it's a bad album because it's got 2 or 3 good tracks. But this album, I did buy it without having heard anything on it because I'm historically a big fan, even a big fan of some of their most recent music that maybe a lot of people don't like. And it's the Bon Jovi album 2020. I think this is by far the worst thing that the band have done. It came out in 2020. It is so lackluster. Whereas other people were releasing albums that were kind of rejuvenating them. I think of AC/DC, I think of Cheap Trick, I think of Springsteen. They all found lockdown as a way of rejuvenating and giving them something to get excited about. Bon Jovi didn't. They released their worst album, in my view, 2020 it's called. A bad album, which I bought because at the time it was coming out and I was just buying albums by people I liked. So the last bad album, which again, 5 years ago, but as I said earlier, it's because I bought it as opposed to listen to it. Last bad album. So last great album, Alter Bridge from 2019. Last good album, Mog's Motel from last year. Last bad album, Bon Jovi 2020 from 2020. So that's my picks.
All right, Parish, great choice. Okay,
Thank
choices, except for the Bon Jovi one. Anyway, David, you're up. What's the great album you bought, the good album you bought, and the piss poor album that you bought?
Yeah, so this was harder than I thought, maybe similar to, Parish, going back and trying to, what classifies as great. I mean, we all kind of consume a lot of records, and there are some that, are really good, but are they great? And so how to define that. So, I nearly went with the new LA Guns record but that's sort of, I think I have a little bit of recency bias. I think it's a really, really good record, Leopard Skin, but it's only been out for about a month. And I think, like I said, it's probably one of the better records they've done in recent years. But I didn't, because for a couple of reasons. One, a little bit of recency bias. And like I said, I think it maybe when it all shakes out is really, really good, but not great, right? Pretty high bar. So where I went with great was the most recent David Gilmour record, Luck and Strange.
Ooh.
See, this one came out last year, maybe. I think, in my mind, his best of his solo career, maybe since, About Face. So the last couple solo albums, there's some time in between his solo records, right? But I think, Rattle That Lock and On the Island are both really, really strong records. I'm a big Gilmour fan. I think they're great records. I think what he does with this record, nothing he does ever feels forced. He does what he wants in whatever direction he wants. I thought just, the cover song that he pulled out that he did with his daughter singing is haunting, and then like her vocal and then his guitar. I think just the way this thing is put together sonically, how it sounds, the songs and the stuff that he's putting even at this sort of late stage, right? He's in his 80s, right? So I don't know. I think this stands up. I think this record stands up with, maybe anything else in his solo career. It's hard to compare against stuff that was done in early 80s, late 70s, different time, different, whole different thing. But I think, this probably stands up. So I think this record is a great record. I think, Luck and Strange stands up. So that's my pick. I think that's a great record. I think it'll stand the test of time. I think if we do this 5 years from now and talk about great records, I think it's probably still in the conversation, right? So good records I bought recently, and I think there's a couple. And again, one I didn't go with just because I think it's still pretty much still new on my plate, and I haven't had time to really absorb it yet. And that's sort of the new Smith Kotzen, Adrian Smith, Richie Kotzen record. I think, these are kind of the records that go under the radar, right? Like people, they come out, a few people buy them, maybe they get talked about, they do a press tour, and then it kind of dies on the vine. This is a fantastic record. Second record by these guys. They're great players, obviously. Richie's a fantastic singer. There's just some really good songs, really good playing on this. So I'm going to say very good, and it probably will still be very good. It'll probably stand up. But the one I went with, because I had a little more time with, was the most recent Black Country Communion record. Glenn Hughes, Joe Bonamassa. This another record that sort of, they don't tour, and so it kind of comes out and then it's gone, and I don't know if many people really get a chance to get it, or to know about it, unless you're plugged in to their socials, or you may not even know this comes out. But this is a fantastic record. I think it stands up with everything, the 4 or 5 records they've done before, maybe arguably the best or one of the best. So for the good category, I'm going to go with the Black Country Communion record. The what is 5? So I guess there's 4 before. So this is the 5th record. So anyway, I think it's a fantastic record. The bad record was tough because I didn't think of the Bon Jovi record. So that was a good pull. I think I agree that 2020 is probably the worst record they've done. And granted, I'm a sort of a Bon Jovi apologist. I think we had the show where we talked about first concerts, and Bon Jovi, the Slippery When Wet tour was mine. So I have the entire catalog.
Oh, good. Then you'll be perfect.
Stuff, good God, I've got no one's perfect. I've got it all. But that's a bad record. It's really unlistenable and probably their worst output since the What About Now record, which I think was the last one with Sambora. But I do agree. The legendary, the new one is pretty good. So anyway, not my pick, but I just wanted to hats off. That was a good pull. I had a hard time with this because again, I buy a lot of music, but I can usually find something of value on everything I buy. Like it's hard for me as I was going through but I want to hard for me to crap on something that heavy as this is bad. Right. I don't like the new Michael Wilton solo record. I'm a big Queensryche fan. I don't love a lot of the songs or the production or just the style it is, but it's Michael Wilton's guitar all the way through. Like, how can I say it's bad? You can hear him playing and it sounds like him. So there's a lot I like about it. So it's difficult for me to say that's bad, but I went with, I kind of cheated and I went with an EP. It's the Motley Crue Canceled EP. I don't get this at all. I love Crue. And I know that some people probably like this a lot and I might get some hate and that's cool. I just fall in a camp of I don't get it. I kind of bought it because I'm a completist and it was missing in the collection and I bought it and maybe it will grow on me, but I just don't get the direction that this is going. Motley Crue's been going probably for a while sonically. The last thing I really, really liked, I thought was really, really, really good was the extra tracks on one of the compilations or the live stuff. I think his song was called If I Die Tomorrow. I think is a fantastic song. Killer. Freaking really good. But I think lately, I think they maybe lost the plot for me and my taste a little bit. I don't get where it's going. So a record that probably won't get pulled out of my, I know that's kind of a glare, but sorry about that. Pulled out of my. Is that the cover? Is that the covers? Is that the covers one? No, it's just an EP. It has Canceled. It has Dogs of War, which I think was released prior to a song called Fight for Your Right. I don't get it. I love John 5. I like Motley Crue. I just don't like it together. I think I don't know. So I think it's got a couple of covers. So Fight for Your Right to Party is obviously a cover. That's the Beastie cover, right? Yeah. And I think. Unless it was as part of the single, but they also did a Sex Pistols cover as well, which maybe isn't on that, but there was certainly but it was certainly a B-side. And when I saw them live a couple of years ago, they had a whole segment in the middle of the show that was playing those songs, and I just didn't get it. A bit like you, I'm thinking, why? I know they like that music, I know they like the punk stuff. And it's part of their, the sort of formative years. But why? Why do it? Yeah, I mean, like I said, I think there are people that like it. For me, it just, like I said, I'm a Motley fan. I've got everything. I bought that probably because I needed to have it because I'm a completist. But it's not something I probably will listen to, maybe ever. It'll sit there. For me, if I have to pick something as a bad album, I'm going with that. Canceled Motley.
Well, when Motley Crue puts out a Christmas album, you're in trouble. Give it some time.
Never know.
Give it some time.
Yeah, I hear Stryper's doing one, but that fits their brand. But I hear they're recording
Motley Crue. I'm not going to say anything
Twisted
about
Sister's
Motley
Christmas
Crue
album wasn't too bad. If you have the Twisted Christmas, Twisted Sister, it's actually kind of good.
My opinion of Motley Crue is that they just seem very watered down from what they were once before. Is that a misconception on my part?
I think I mentioned in a show fairly recently, but I just don't think they can exist without Mick Mars in the band. I mean, I like John Farr. I think he's a decent. I think he's a decent guitarist. No problem with him at all. But they need Mick Mars. He's and I get his health, etc. But there's better ways for them to be dealing with the way they're dealing with it at the moment. And Yeah, I can't find it hard to accept them without Mick Mars in the band.
Well, maybe they'll have a maybe sometime they'll have a Mick Mars hologram. You know, you never know with them.
I do have a question.
Yeah.
This is a tangent. Speaking of John Five, has anyone here? Does anyone here have any the John Five solo albums? I mean, aren't they instrumental?
Yeah,
don't
I have
know.
one of them. I think it's called "God Told Me to" or something.
Yeah.
It has a cover of "Beat It" on it. He does that. It does pretty good. It's all right. It's just kind of just like a lot of some shred, but then he goes off into different things as well. You know, he
But
does
he's
some
like
kind of different
brilliant
kind of
player
things.
though.
Yeah, brilliant.
Oh
player.
yeah, he's a
Brilliant
great
player.
player. I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got two or
Yeah.
three. Yeah, I think I haven't pulled them out in quite a while, but I think my memory serves that they're, stylistically it can move around a little bit.
Mhm.
Obviously it's some shred, some of it's kind of industrial, right? But yeah, it definitely sounds like him, and does a lot of chicken picking with that Telecaster. But
Yeah.
just an amazing player. But yeah, for some reason it's almost for me like, and I love Whitesnake. You can see behind all the box sets lined up. I'm a big Whitesnake fan. All the box sets lined up behind me, but I got another one coming tomorrow, the live one. But anyway, we got added to the list. But it'll be up there next time. But like, it's a little bit like Whitesnake. I like the Slip of the Tongue album, but I love Vi and like Whitesnake. I don't necessarily love Vi in Whitesnake. And it's a little bit like that with Motley. Like, I don't know that John Five stylistically fits with what I
well,
want Motley Crue to sound. So, like, while I like a lot of Slip of the Tongue, it's not, if we listed Whitesnake albums, it wouldn't be in my top five, or probably because of that, because it's not unlistenable. I listen to Slip of the Tongue, but I don't like, for me, stylistically, it's a little bit of a clash. And I think the same thing with the John Five Motley Crue thing.
well, I think with John Five, he knows how to play to the band he's in. Like he was with Rob Zombie before, and he did really good, but he didn't really shred a lot on it or anything. He kind of sticks to the formula that Rob Zombie. Same with Marilyn Manson, but the David Lee Roth solo album he played on. He's like all over that.
The DLR
And he was
band.
with Static X for a while as well. So
Man, you just reminded me of that damn DLR album.
yeah.
We've talked about that before because we are such on a tangent, but I love it.
Where are we going?
We were talking. I don't know, Elder. Were you on that? Someone was saying how great that record was.
That is a good. Yeah, I mean, I remember talking about it on another show with you. Yeah, that David Lee Roth DLR album is great. It's John Five. It's sort of it's like the sequel to Eat 'Em and Smile. Really, that's the album that could have come after Eat 'Em and Smile and would have been great. And
oh, there it is. I see it right there. Let me see how much that dog is. Because I want it and I freaking keep forgetting to get it. So that came out in 98. So John Five's the guitar player on that, huh?
He might be listed as John Lowry, but he is John Five though.
He's listed as John Lowry on it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, there's 11 copies of it. That's easy. Oh, it's a promo. No, it's not a promo. Oh, wow. Oh, here's a factory sealed. Nah, this is fine. This is good. All right, I'm just going to buy it.
There. Yes, now you'll be able to hear it.
I keep forgetting to get it, and I better just get it while we're talking about it.
You probably
I've already bought 2 other CDs tonight while we've been talking, so anyway, okay. Now I forget what we're talking about.
I think I'm done. Albums. I think we're moving on.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was such an intense tangent, ladies and gentlemen, and I totally lost track.
No, yeah, that's cool.
Well, I want to say that. Well, I'll talk. I don't really buy anything new. That's new. Everything I buy is like old new. You know what I mean? Because there's so much to discover. Anyway, Elder, what is your great album?
Last great. Well, I will say that if this would have been like next week, I probably would be saying the new Ghost album is the last great album, but that comes out tomorrow.
I just bought it tonight when we were here.
Yeah, so
I buy whenever Ghost puts out something, I buy it.
Yep, same.
Whenever Darkness puts out something, I buy it. Though I hadn't until Parish reminded me about it. I forgot, so I just ordered the Darkness and Ghost. Anyway, go ahead, Elder.
Nice. So I'm going to say that my last great album I bought was, and I'm mad because I forgot to look up the stats on this band, but it's a band called Unto Others. It's their latest album, Neverland. I think they came out in either 2023 or 2024. This is a cool band. They got a really cool different style. They're heavy, but the singing is like the singer's got like this deep gothic type of voice. They do a really great cover of Pet Cemetery on this album, and they just switch from real melodic to like really kind of almost thrashy hard rock, but they don't get screamo vocal or anything. And so there's just, and everything is every time, and I judge if an album's great by if every time I go back and listen to it, I really enjoy it. And this album, every time I hear it, I enjoy it. And in fact, after I heard this album, I went and I bought the rest of their catalog because I just knew it was going to be good, and I was right. So their whole catalog is really good, but this album, Neverland, I believe is what it's called. So Unto Others is my great album. Now, for good album, it was kind of rough for me. It was kind of a toss up for me between two albums, but I'm going to go with Pentagram's Lightning in a Bottle. This is a really good album. I just feel like for Pentagram, I expect it seems like a bit too upbeat for Pentagram. It's really kind of a bright. I'm not saying it doesn't get doomy or anything, but just compared to their other stuff, it just seems sometimes a bit too upbeat, a bit, kind of thing. The productions doesn't seem as muddy. So it's kind of bright. And so it's just, to me, it's just a good album. Of course, I'm comparing it to their, all their back stuff, and maybe that's not fair, but it's still a good album. I still enjoy it. I thought it was it just isn't what I want from a Pentagram album, but it is a good album. And I'm glad that they're kind of getting a little bit of their due with the Bobby Liebling meme that was out, with him doing the frozen face with the ghoul and performing that. And I'm glad he's getting some attention for that. And I'm glad they're kind of getting a little attention. They do deserve it. But this album I just thought was, good. Now the next album, well, I guess if I really want to go back and say a bad album, I might go back to Metallica's 72 Seasons. Because that was a bit disappointing, and this is how I'm going to judge it as, because I don't really think any album is bad. Like, I'm not saying, and Metallica 72 Seasons isn't a bad album. It's just not what I wanted, but I will bring it up a little bit. And this is the latest album from this band. I was just a bit disappointed in it, in the same way that I was maybe disappointed in Judas Priest, Angel of Retribution, when it was at the big reunion album with Halford. It was good, but they really didn't quite get a great album out till I Feel Firepower. And so I'm going to say this is the same with Dream Theater's latest album. I'm a little bit disappointed in it. And I've listened to it a few times, and I still I still get I'm just haven't got into it yet, but I just feel like maybe they just got to find their chemistry again. This is their first album back. They were used to writing a certain way with Mangini, maybe, and so Portnoy back in, they got to get this chemistry back, and maybe in a couple albums they'll release their firepower. So those are my albums.
That would be another one, because I don't get Dream Theater to save my life. I've tried. I don't get it.
Yeah. Well, they kind of got some long songs. A lot of people don't like their vocals. I don't know if you like their vocal. You've heard them though, right? You've listened to them at all?
Yeah, I wasn't that impressed.
But did you listen to? Hey, there's another band. Maybe, I don't know. You could try to do a Dream Theater album thing, but
I would do that too.
Have you ever tried listening to Images and Words? That album?
No. I'll try.
That would be the album I would say listen to first if you're going to listen to a Dream Theater album. Listen to Images and Words. In my
Writing
opinion,
it down.
I don't know if the rest of the panel has a different opinion on that, but
I'm scarred in that my eldest son It's one of his favourite bands, and he's spent the last 20 odd years trying to get me into them. Keeps telling me that this is one of the bands, Dad, you should like. You should like this band. Why don't you like them? Come and listen to a new album. Come and listen to this. This will be the album. And for whatever reason, I can't get into it. I just can't get into it. So I know their stuff, and it's not really the vocals. I mean, I know what you mean by the vocals, but no, it's not really I don't know. And my son's right. It is the sort of band I should like. For some reason, it just doesn't click.
Yeah, if you
and
like
they're brilliant. They're brilliant musicians, absolutely top-notch musicians, very clever. I don't know. It's just, for me anyway, it's just something not quite there for me, and I don't know why. But as we say, you can't like everything, can you? So,
well, David, are you a Dream Theater fan?
I am not. It's which is interesting because I'm a big fan of both Queensryche and Fate's Warning. So you'd think that if I really like those bands, that it kind of seamlessly flows into Dream Theater. Like it's never really, grabbed me in that way. So I'd say no, generally, not in the same way. But I listen to Fate's Warning and Queensryche a ton.
Yeah, I like Queensryche. All right. That doesn't bother me.
All different tastes, and just thinking, because I really like the 72 Seasons record. So again, we all have different, which is what makes these kind of things really interesting and cool.
Yeah, 72 Seasons. I went back and tried to listen to that many times, and I just, can't. There's a few songs that are okay, but I just on the whole, I just can't.
There's
I see
72 Seasons hat right here.
Well, maybe they're.
But
time
maybe one time I'll listen to it and then it'll hit me right.
Maybe
I just think I think it's too long.
I think if you go back and listen to Saint Anger and then listen to 72 Seasons, it's going to sound a lot better. Right? If you listen to Saint Anger and then you go, this is really good.
Oh, Lord Almighty. I should probably listen to some of those. What general consensus? I know we're on a tangent. I don't give a shit. What is the worst Metallica album?
I think for me, it's Saint Anger is the hardest one for me to listen to.
Okay.
Yeah, I would say that too.
Parish?
Reloaded.
Saint Anger. I'm going to listen to both of those.
Yeah, I
don't particularly like Saint Anger either, but I think that's got a bit more to it for me.
Yeah,
I'm going to listen to it and see what I think.
Yeah. And 72 Seasons, I liked it when it came out. I played it quite a lot, but I did think it seemed to drag on a bit. And I don't think it's front loaded as well. I think the better songs are at the front of the album.
I kind of thought that's it. Yeah, it did a few.
And it loses steam about halfway through for me. And I find that most albums that are like that, because I'm one of these people, I can't listen to half an album. If I'm going to put it on, I have to listen to the whole album. So if I don't particularly and particularly if it's a long album, if I don't like towards the end of an album, I'll tend to not put it on at all rather than listen to half of it. So I think it's, I liked it and I do like it, but I do think it runs out of steam.
I don't get it.
Which, as you say, is not a bad. It is quite an improvement on some of the previous ones because there is some good stuff on it.
All right, I'm going to buy. God, this is something. I just bought Saint Anger.
No, this is odd, Grant, because most people buy albums that are recommended to them. You're being recommended not to buy these.
I have a feeling because I am so odd that I'll listen to Saint Anger and
you think it's great.
The clouds will part, the heavens will come down. Yeah. And I think it's just absolutely fabulous.
Well, on that basis, I will send you this Bon Jovi album, because on the basis you don't like anything by Bon Jovi, then that's probably the one you'll like.
Ladies and gentlemen, I just want to go on record that I just ordered Saint Anger.
Oh
Wow.
man, we're gonna have to, you're gonna have to switch this title to "We suggest Grant records for Grant to buy."
Yeah, but I do that on every damn show.
Tangent show.
It's a sickness, ladies and gentlemen. That's exactly what it is.
So that's pretty clever though, because the last crap album that you've just bought it. You've actually
I
just
just
bought the
bought
last
it.
bad album. You've just bought your last bad album. That's pretty clever.
I can't think of anything because I always buy the Darkness. I buy the Ghost CDs. I've never been disappointed with a Ghost album. I've never been disappointed with the Darkness. The more I listen to the Darkness, the better it gets with each rec. Well, I think the Darkness is one of those bands other than the debut that, maybe the second album, man, I think is brilliant. The more I listen to it, the more it grows on me. When it first came out, I thought, uh-oh. But now I think it's absolutely stunning.
I think the problem with the Darkness though is the vocals turn some people off.
Not me. I love Justin.
No, I love it as well, but I think it's an acquired taste, and if you can't. Having said that, though, the latest album went to number 2 in the UK charts when it got released, and they just completed a sold out arena tour. And I don't know if any of you guys have watched it, but I think his YouTube podcast that he does,
Fabulous.
Justin Hawkins, that seems to have given them a new lease of life.
I think 100%.
I think that's raised their profile and taken them away from being a joke band a bit to actually being taken more seriously and giving them a different fan base.
My son, though, when he was younger, because I got the Darkness, and how old was when we were listening to it? God, he might have been 13, 12. He totally got the Darkness right away. Totally got it. He said, Dad, this rocks. I said, yes, it does, son. It rocks hard.
And at the concert I went to a few weeks ago, I reckon half the audience were under 20. And
That's
I think
a good
that's
sign.
because of
that's
the
good.
YouTube channel. And that wasn't because they were being dragged along by their parents. That was, and I think they've got a new audience, and I think the podcast has done that for them.
Wow.
I'm gonna have to check out some Darkness. I really haven't checked them out since One Way Ticket to Hell and Back.
Oh,
Yeah.
see, I like that.
I mean, I like that album. I just don't know why I just haven't. I mean, because they broke up for a little bit, and now I am. So
If you're gonna check him out, the album I would check out is Last of Our Kind.
okay.
I think out of all of them, that's probably the good entry point. It's maybe more commercial, bit heavier. It's not quite so quirky, so I think that's definitely the one to check out.
Okay.
All right,
Well,
cool.
I definitely will. Yeah.
I wish I could add to this because all I do is buy Ghost in the Darkness for new stuff and Saint Anger. So,
Insane
all right,
Anger.
worst album I bought was Saint Anger. The
Just don't buy
best thing I
Lulu.
ever bought was the last Ghost album, and the new Ghost album will be out tomorrow. I really don't. I can't really. I don't know. I really can't contribute very much. I don't know. All right, well, let's wrap this dog up. I want to thank this. I want to thank the elder. Oh, do you have any honorables? Sorry.
I think I did mine as I went, really.
Okay.
Another great album that came out in the last few years is and maybe you've heard of, is a band called Dogma. Their self-titled album. What they kind of are is what they kind of look like on the surface is a female version of Ghost, but they're actually a little bit heavier, kind of like King Diamond-ish.
Maybe I've heard about that.
They got some very, very. They're what they are is they're satanic nuns, kind of is what they're dressed as, nuns in corpse paint, but very revealing outfits and very racy videos.
What are they called again?
Dogma.
Dogma.
Yep.
I'm looking them up.
They're self-titled. There was another band, Dogma, a long time ago that might come up, but this is their self-titled. It's a
Okay.
of a
There I
nun.
see they're okay. It's kind of like Ghost. kind of.
Kind of. They're kind of like doing image wise. They're doing that same kind of like. There's a lore behind them. There's these group of nuns that have broken away from the church or whatever, and they're.
So are they a European band? Because I see they're playing a lot of European dates.
Yeah, and I don't think so, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure if they are or not.
Yeah, actually, thinking about it, the other honourable mention I would have, which was the album I thought I was going to pick, because I do think it's a great album, is the album by Babylon AD that came out last year, Rome Wasn't Built in a Day, which I think is a fantastic album. Problem is I didn't buy it because it doesn't seem to have been released in the UK, and I've had it on order since it came out in October, and it keeps saying available soon, but it just never comes. So
It might be out of
technically,
Well,
it might now be out of print. So I haven't bought it. So I couldn't pick that as the last great album I bought. But I would say the last great album, in my view, is the Babylon AD album. I just think it's a cracking album. Fantastic.
All right, cool. All right, boys, let's wrap this dog up. Thanks for doing it. It's just more like a music chat tonight. That's just fun.
It certainly was.
go off on
It's much more
tangents.
fun
It's
for
great.
me anyway. So anyway, we do want to hear down below. Please leave a comment. Please subscribe if you haven't. Please join our Patreon. That would be great. That's a great way to support the channel. Or we have a Ko-fi, buy us a pint or a cup of coffee. We would appreciate that. Donos are also accepted. We love money here in the Contrarians because who doesn't love money? But really, we're here just talking music, and that's all that matters. Hopefully you got turned on to something tonight. You want to maybe go check out some of these records. You definitely want to go out and check out Saint Anger like I did. So do that and let me know what you thought of it. All right, boys. Well, I'll be in contact about the Bon Jovi show.
All right, dude. Looking forward to it.
This will
Yeah,
be
definitely.
fun.
Yeah.
We'll do the first two Bon Jovis.
Okay.
We're basically
Yeah.
we're just going to talk about them. I'll give you the details. So, all right, gentlemen, we will see you. Keep it clean, everybody, and we'll see you on the next
right.
show. All right, everybody.
Yeah.